What comes to mind when you envision the Viking Age? Rows of fierce warriors in horned helmets storming the shores, their only purpose to raid and conquer. What if I told you that this widely accepted image is as misleading as it is dramatic? The truth about the Vikings is far more intricate, surprising, and, dare I say, revolutionary than the stereotypes would have us believe. This was a civilization of explorers, inventors, and storytellers, whose influence stretched across continents and whose secrets remain buried in history until now. In this video, we're peeling back the layers of myth to reveal the Vikings as you've never seen them before. From their ingenious ship designs that allowed them to traverse oceans and rivers with equal ease, to the mysterious runestones they left behind as clues to lives steeped in magic and ritual, we'll uncover their advanced technologies and decipher the codes of their enigmatic beliefs. Did you know Viking women often wielded power that rivaled their male counterparts, or that Norse adventurers reached the shores of North America centuries before the more celebrated explorers of history? By the end of our journey, you'll see how much of their legacy is still alive in our world today. So prepare to venture beyond the legends and cliches. It's time to unravel 25 of the most astonishing secrets of the Viking Age. Now turning to the first secret, let's tackle one of the most enduring misconceptions about the Vikings, the infamous horned helmet. Despite being a symbol synonymous with Viking imagery, such helmets were never actually part of their wardrobe. This myth traces back to the 19th century, when costume designers for operas, particularly Wagner's famous Ring Cycle, adorned their Viking characters with elaborate horned helmets for dramatic effect. The truth, backed by archaeological evidence, presents a much more practical reality. The helmets worn by Vikings were simple, often rounded and made of iron, designed to protect them in battle rather than intimidate with flair. No horns, no theatrics, just functionality. Yet, this fantastical image persists because of its stronghold in pop culture. From Hollywood movies to modern sports team logos, the horned helmet has been cemented as a visual shorthand for all things Viking. It's a perfect example of how fiction can overshadow fact, shaping perceptions in ways that endure through generations. But as we move beyond these misconceptions, we'll uncover what truly defined the Viking spirit, a practicality and ingenuity that helped them leave their mark on history in ways far greater than any fictional adornment ever could. Now turning to the next secret, we uncover a fascinating truth about the role of women in Viking society. Far from being confined to domestic life, Viking women held positions of remarkable strength and independence. Archaeological discoveries have provided groundbreaking evidence of their status, none more striking than the high-status grave uncovered in Birka, Sweden. This grave, once assumed to belong to a male warrior, contained weapons, armor, and even a strategy game used for planning battle tactics. DNA analysis revealed that the occupant was, in fact, a woman, challenging long-held assumptions about gender roles during the Viking Age. Beyond the battlefield, Viking women enjoyed freedoms that were exceptional for their time. They could own property, initiate divorce, and even inherit land, rights that many women in other contemporary cultures could only dream of. These freedoms gave Viking women agency over their lives, a stark contrast to the often rigid confines placed on women elsewhere during this period. Their role in society was not just limited to warriors or homemakers, they were leaders, traders, and crucial decision-makers within their families and communities. With such a rich and diverse contribution to Viking life, it becomes clear that their stories were just as significant as those of their male counterparts. This remarkable aspect of Viking culture showcases a society that valued resilience and capability, regardless of gender, leaving a legacy that continues to inspire today. Moving forward, let's delve into one of the most iconic engineering marvels of the Viking Age, their longboats. These ships were not just vessels of transportation, but a testament to the ingenuity and craftsmanship of the Vikings. Designed with shallow drafts, they could glide effortlessly through both deep ocean waters and narrow, shallow rivers, making them incredibly versatile for a wide range of environments. Their symmetrical design allowed them to reverse direction without needing to turn around, an invaluable feature during both exploration and swift retreats. What made these longboats even more extraordinary was their lightweight construction, enabling the Vikings to carry them overland between waterways, a practice known as portaging. This innovation granted them access to areas otherwise thought unreachable. These ships were the backbone of the Viking Age, paving the way for their raids, trades, and vast exploration across continents. Archaeological finds like the well-preserved Gokstad and Oseberg ships reveal intricate designs combining functionality with artistic beauty, showcasing not only their technical skill but also their cultural pride. The craftsmanship behind these vessels reflected the Vikings' deep understanding of their environment and their ambition to conquer the unknown. With such unparalleled maritime abilities, it is no wonder that Vikings expanded their influence across Europe and beyond, leaving behind a legacy that continues to fascinate and inspire maritime enthusiasts to this day. Now turning to the astonishing reach of Viking exploration, let us unravel how these seafaring adventurers journeyed far beyond the familiar shores of Scandinavia. Long before most European nations even dreamed of crossing vast oceans, the Vikings had already ventured to North America. Evidence of their presence is etched in history through the discovery of a settlement at Elance Oaks Meadows in Newfoundland. This site, a UNESCO World Heritage Site today, offers tangible proof that the Vikings, led by figures such as Leif Erikson, set foot on the continent nearly 500 years before Christopher Columbus. But their ambition did not stop at the Atlantic. To the east, they navigated the intricate waterways of Russia, establishing trade routes that connected them to the Byzantine Empire and beyond. The Vikings left their imprint on cities like Novgorod and Kiev, contributing to the development of early trade hubs in these regions. Astonishingly, their influence extended even into the Middle East, where Viking artifacts such as coins and jewelry have been unearthed in Baghdad, underscoring their vast trade network. These fearless explorers did not merely raid, they forged connections, exchanged goods, and left behind cultural footprints that spanned continents. Their journeys highlight a remarkable era of global exploration, showcasing a society that dared to push boundaries and redefine the map of the known world. Moving forward, let us delve into the captivating world of Viking poetry and storytelling, where words were wielded as powerfully as swords. The Vikings were masterful storytellers, and their rich oral traditions played a vital role in preserving their history, mythology, and cultural identity. Central to this tradition were the sagas and skaldic poetry, which vividly recounted the heroic deeds of warriors, the divine exploits of their gods, and the intricate tales of their ancestors. The sagas, often dramatic and filled with vivid imagery, served as more than entertainment. They were a means of educating younger generations about their lineage and cultural values. Skaldic poetry, on the other hand, showcased the incredible skill of Viking poets, known as skalds, who crafted intricate verses with complex structures and metaphors. These poems were not only a source of pride but also a way to honor leaders, commemorate battles, and immortalize significant events. However, translating these works into modern languages poses significant challenges. The nuanced wordplay, cultural references, and layered meanings often lose their depth outside their original context, making it difficult to fully grasp the artistry of Viking storytelling today. Despite these challenges, these oral traditions continue to offer invaluable insights into the Viking worldview. Through their sagas and poetry, the Vikings ensured that their legacy would endure, carried forward in the echoes of their spoken word. Now turning to their advanced trade networks, the Vikings' prowess extended far beyond their reputation as fierce raiders. They were skilled traders who established vast and sophisticated trade systems that connected Scandinavia to regions as distant as the Middle East and Asia. Their longboats, known for their exceptional design, were not only tools of exploration and conquest but also vital for commerce, enabling them to navigate seas, rivers, and trade routes with remarkable ease. These networks facilitated the exchange of goods, ideas, and cultures on an unprecedented scale. The goods they traded were as diverse as they were surprising. Archaeological discoveries reveal that Vikings acquired and traded luxury items such as silks from Asia, spices from distant lands, and exquisite glassware. Their trade routes also brought them coins crafted in Arabia, evidence of their interactions with Islamic merchants. In return, they exported items like furs, amber, and iron, showcasing the natural resources of their Scandinavian homeland. This commercial activity was not only an economic boon but also a bridge that connected the Viking world to an intricate web of civilizations. Through their trade, they gained exposure to foreign traditions, technologies, and knowledge, significantly enriching their own culture. The Vikings were, in many ways, international players on a global stage, proving that their society was as much about innovation and commerce as it was about conquest and adventure. With the next phase of the journey in sight, let us explore the hidden meaning of Viking runes and their intriguing role in communication and mysticism. With the next phase of the journey in sight, let us uncover the mysteries of Viking runes, which were far more than just a practical writing system. These ancient symbols held profound significance, serving as a bridge between the mundane and the mystical. Used for communication, they allowed the Vikings to inscribe messages on stone, wood, and metal, leaving behind records of their deeds, commemorations, and stories. But their power extended much deeper into the spiritual realm. Runes were believed to possess magical properties, often used in rituals and divination. Each rune carried its own distinct meaning, often linked to Norse mythology, nature, or life's challenges and triumphs. They were tools for invoking protection, guidance, and even predicting the future, making them essential in Viking rituals. The famous rune stones scattered across Scandinavia stand as testaments to their cultural and spiritual importance. These towering stones, etched with runic inscriptions, were often erected to honor fallen warriors, proclaim achievements, or mark territorial claims. Some rune stones also carried cryptic messages, hinting at the deep-seated belief in the mystical connection between the written and the divine. Through these runes, we glimpse a culture that intertwined language, art, and spirituality in a way few others did. Their legacy endures, continuing to fascinate and inspire people globally. As we move forward, let us challenge another common misconception about the Vikings and their surprisingly refined approach to hygiene and grooming. Now turning to the next fascinating aspect of Viking life, let us challenge the long-standing stereotype of these Norse seafarers as unkempt barbarians. Contrary to the rough image often portrayed in popular media, Vikings were highly attentive to their hygiene and personal grooming, setting them apart from many of their contemporaries in medieval Europe. Archaeological discoveries have unearthed a remarkable array of grooming tools, including intricately crafted combs, razors, tweezers, and even ear cleaners, all made from materials like bone, antler, and metal. These artifacts reveal a culture that placed great importance on cleanliness and appearance. Historical records from those who encountered the Vikings further support this refined image. For example, accounts from Anglo-Saxon and Arab sources describe the Vikings as surprisingly clean and well-groomed, noting that they bathed regularly and even perfumed their hair. Saturdays were often designated as a day for bathing, a practice so widespread that the Old Norse word for Saturday translates to washing day. In addition, the Vikings' fondness for saunas, a tradition they likely inherited from their Scandinavian environment, highlights their commitment to cleanliness and relaxation. These practices not only demonstrate their attention to hygiene, but also reveal a savvy awareness of social presentation, as looking well-maintained played a role in fostering respect and admiration during their travels and trades. By dispelling this myth, we uncover yet another layer of the Viking Age's complexity, painting a picture of a people who balanced their rugged lifestyles with a surprisingly refined sense of self-care and presentation. With this newfound perspective, let us delve deeper into Viking society and examine their intricate laws and innovative systems of governance. Moving forward, let us uncover the sophisticated legal and governance systems that defined Viking society, showcasing their surprising aptitude for order and community decision-making. At the heart of Viking law and justice was the Thing, a democratic assembly where free men gathered to debate and resolve disputes. The Thing functioned as both a legislative and judicial body, embodying a participatory approach to governance that was remarkable for its time. Decisions were made collectively and rulings were based on consensus, reflecting an early commitment to fairness and communal responsibility. Punishments for crimes were not arbitrary but followed a structured system. For instance, minor offenses often required compensation known as wergild or man price, where the guilty party paid a set amount to the victim or their family, depending on the severity of the crime. This system aimed to restore balance and prevent cycles of vengeance within the community. On the other hand, more severe crimes like murder or betrayal could result in outlawry, where the offender was banished and stripped of legal protection. This punishment served as both a deterrent and a way to maintain social harmony. The Viking legal framework extended beyond punitive measures. It also included provisions for property rights, inheritance, and trade regulations, which were meticulously recorded and upheld. These laws reveal a society that valued structure, fairness, and accountability. The Thing's democratic essence not only highlights the Vikings' emphasis on collective problem-solving, but also offers a glimpse into the egalitarian elements of their culture. This system of governance exemplifies how the Vikings combined practicality with innovation, challenging the notion that they were solely defined by conquest and chaos. With this deeper understanding of their legal traditions, let us now navigate to a different yet equally intriguing dimension of Viking culture, their enigmatic tattoos and what they might have symbolized. Now turning to the fascinating and often debated topic of Viking tattoos, we find ourselves unraveling an intriguing layer of their cultural identity. Historical accounts, such as those of the Arab traveler Ahmad ibn Fadlan, provide rare glimpses into this practice. Ibn Fadlan described the Vikings he encountered along the Volga River as being covered from their fingertips to their necks with dark green markings depicting trees, symbols, and other intricate designs. While archaeological evidence remains scarce, his detailed observations lend credence to the idea that tattooing was indeed a part of Viking culture. The meanings behind these tattoos likely ran deeper than mere decoration. They may have served as expressions of personal or clan identity, showcasing allegiance, achievements, or even social status. Some scholars suggest that these designs were influenced by Norse mythology, depicting gods, mythical creatures, or sacred symbols like the Vegvisir, a compass meant to guide travelers through uncharted territories. Such imagery might have embodied protection, guidance, or a connection to the divine. Others argue that tattoos could have had a ritualistic or spiritual purpose, possibly tied to rites of passage or the invocation of magical powers, aligning with the Vikings' deep-rooted belief in fate and destiny. While definitive evidence remains elusive, the enduring allure of Viking tattoos persists, as these enigmatic markings continue to captivate both historians and enthusiasts alike. With this insight into their potential body art, let us next explore a darker chapter in Viking society, their complex and often troubling connection to the practice of slavery. Moving forward, we delve into a lesser-discussed and morally complex aspect of Viking society, their involvement in the practice of slavery. Central to their economy and social structure, slavery was deeply embedded in Viking life. Captives, often taken during raids across Europe and beyond, were referred to as thralls. These individuals were forced into labor, serving as farmhands, household servants, or even as commodities to be traded in bustling markets. Archaeological evidence such as iron collars and chain remains, coupled with historical accounts, provides a stark reminder of the realities faced by these enslaved people. The Viking slave trade was expansive, stretching from the British Isles to Eastern Europe and even parts of the Middle East. Thralls were sold in international markets, highlighting the vast reach of Viking trade networks. The conditions for thralls were harsh, as they had little to no personal freedom and often lived under the constant threat of violence. However, there were rare instances where thralls could earn their freedom, either through exceptional service or by being granted it by their masters. This dark aspect of Viking society stands in sharp contrast to their celebrated achievements in exploration, art, and innovation, reminding us of their humanity in all its complexity with both light and shadow. As we acknowledge this somber chapter, let us move on to examine another captivating facet of their culture, the mystical world of Viking magic and the roles played by their enigmatic seeress. Now turning to the mystical realm of Viking magic, we uncover the fascinating practice known as saga, a powerful form of Norse magic that was deeply intertwined with their mythology and belief systems. At the heart of this ancient practice were the seeresses, often referred to as völvers, who held significant status in Viking society. These women were seen as spiritual guides, able to bridge the mortal world with the divine. Through intricate rituals, chants, and symbolic gestures, they sought to predict the future, influence fate, and connect with the gods. Norse mythology often highlights the role of these magical practices, with deities like Freyja and Odin associated with saga. Freyja, the goddess of love, beauty, and fertility, was believed to have introduced saga to the gods, while Odin himself was said to have practiced it in his relentless pursuit of wisdom and power. The rituals of saga were elaborate and steeped in symbolism. Seeresses conducted their ceremonies in sacred spaces, often using staffs or wands as tools of their craft, alongside herbal mixtures or special garments to enhance their connection to the spiritual realm. The community often sought their guidance during times of uncertainty, such as before battles, during harvest planning, or when interpreting omens. However, the practice was not without its controversies. In a society that valued strength and warrior ideals, magical practices were sometimes viewed with suspicion or considered unmanly, especially for men who engaged in them. Despite this, the influence of saga and its practitioners endured, playing a vital role in shaping the cultural and spiritual landscape of the Viking Age. As we dive deeper into this intriguing facet of their world, we begin to see that Viking society was a complex tapestry of practical traditions and mystical beliefs. Next, let us explore an essential yet often overlooked aspect of their daily lives, the Viking diet and culinary practices. Moving forward, let us delve into the hearty and resourceful culinary traditions of the Vikings, a cornerstone of their daily lives that fueled their explorations and battles. The Viking diet was both practical and surprisingly diverse, rooted in the natural abundance of their environment. They relied heavily on agriculture, cultivating grains like barley, oats, and rye to produce porridge and bread. These breads were often dense and made using stone-ground flour, sometimes mixed with nuts or seeds for extra nutrition. Hunting and fishing also played a crucial role in their sustenance. From wild game like deer, boar, and elk to an array of fish such as cod, herring, and salmon, the Vikings made use of whatever nature provided. They were skilled at preserving food for long voyages, using methods such as smoking, drying, and salting to ensure their provisions lasted through harsh winters or extended raids. Dairy products were another staple of their diet, with milk from cows, goats, and sheep transformed into butter, cheese, and a beloved fermented drink known as skyr, which resembles modern yogurt. Surprisingly, the Vikings also spiced up their meals with herbs and seasonings like dill, mustard seeds, and horseradish, showcasing a culinary sophistication often overlooked in their rugged image. And of course, no discussion of Viking cuisine would be complete without mentioning their famous fermented beverages. Mead, a drink made from honey, water, and yeast, was a cherished staple at feasts, often accompanied by beer brewed with barley and wild herbs. These drinks were not only sources of celebration but also symbols of community and tradition. The Viking approach to food reflects their ingenuity, resourcefulness, and deep connection to the natural world. Each meal was a testament to their ability to thrive in the often harsh Scandinavian climate. As we continue unraveling the intricacies of Viking life, let us now journey into the fascinating and varied burial practices that reveal their views on death and the afterlife. Now turning to the deeply symbolic and varied burial practices of the Vikings, we uncover a culture that held profound respect for the journey beyond death. Viking burials were far from uniform, reflecting not only the social status of the deceased, but also their beliefs about the afterlife. Ship burials stand out as one of the most iconic customs, reserved for high-ranking individuals such as chieftains or nobles. These elaborate ceremonies involved placing the deceased in a ship or a ship-shaped structure, often surrounded by opulent grave goods such as weapons, jewelry, and tools that were thought to be needed in the next life. The Oseberg ship burial in Norway is one of the most famous examples of this practice. Discovered in a burial mound, this richly decorated ship held the remains of two high-status women, along with an astonishing array of artifacts, including textiles, carvings, and even animals, illustrating the complexity and grandeur of Viking funerary traditions. For those of lower status, simpler graves were common, with bodies placed in wooden coffins or stone-lined pits, often accompanied by modest grave goods like personal belongings or tools. Cremation was another widespread practice, particularly in earlier periods of Viking history. By burning the body, it was believed the soul could be released and transported to the afterlife, whether it be Valhalla, the hall of the slain warriors, or other realms described in Norse mythology. Ashes were sometimes buried or scattered in ceremonial rituals, reflecting both practicality and spiritual significance. The inclusion of grave goods across all burial types underscores the Viking belief in an afterlife where worldly possessions could aid or comfort the departed. From weapons signifying a warrior's valor to household items denoting a farmer's dedication, these goods provided a glimpse into the lives and identities of the deceased. Viking burial practices reveal a society that intertwined their everyday lives with their spiritual beliefs, creating traditions that honored both the individual and the community. As we leave behind these ancient mounds of memory, we venture next into the enduring mystery surrounding the legendary figure of Ragnar Lothbrok. As the sun rises on the next chapter, we delve into the enigma of Ragnar Lothbrok, a name that resonates through both history and myth as one of the most legendary figures of the Viking Age. But was he a real person, a blend of multiple historical leaders, or entirely a creation of Norse storytelling? The truth, as often happens with figures of such mythic proportions, is shrouded in a fascinating haze of both fact and fiction. Historical texts like the sagas and chronicles mention Ragnar as a fearless warrior, cunning strategist, and even a king. He is said to have led daring raids across France and England, earning fame for his unyielding ambition and audacious exploits. Yet, much of what we know about him comes from sagas written centuries after the Viking Age, which were often more concerned with entertaining than recording factual history. For instance, one tale depicts Ragnar wearing trousers made of fur, boiled in pitch to protect himself from a venomous serpent, a detail that seems to straddle the line between historical anecdote and mythical embellishment. Archaeological evidence of Ragnar's actual existence is scarce, leading many scholars to suggest that he may not have been a single individual, but but rather a composite character inspired by the deeds of several Viking leaders, such as those who led invasions of France or the British Isles. Even his name, which translates to hairy breeches, adds a layer of intrigue, hinting at an almost poetic creation rather than a concrete historical figure. Still, the stories of Ragnar and his legendary sons, like Bjorn Ironside and Ivar the Boneless, have endured across generations, serving as a cultural cornerstone for understanding the values and aspirations of the Vikings' courage, cunning, and an unrelenting will to overcome adversity. Whether Ragnar Lothbrok walked the earth or lived only in the minds of skalds and storytellers, his myth continues to captivate, blending the rugged reality of the Viking Age with the boundless imagination of Norse mythology. With this enduring mystery in mind, we now glide into the lighter yet equally intriguing discovery of the Vikings' surprising love for ice skating. With the next phase of the journey in sight, let us uncover a surprising and delightful aspect of Viking life: their love for ice skating. Far from the fierce warriors often depicted in popular culture, the Vikings also embraced moments of leisure, and ice skating was one of their favorite pastimes during the long, harsh Scandinavian winters. Archaeological discoveries, such as bone skates made from animal remains like cow or horse bones, provide a fascinating glimpse into this unique activity. These skates were often tied to the feet using leather straps, allowing the Vikings to glide effortlessly over frozen lakes and rivers. While it might seem purely recreational to us, ice skating actually served a practical purpose for the Vikings. In the unforgiving Scandinavian climate, frozen waterways became natural highways, and skating helped them travel more quickly across these icy landscapes when pursuing essential tasks like hunting or visiting neighboring communities. It showcased their resourcefulness in adapting to their environment, turning even the challenges of winter into opportunities for both practicality and enjoyment. This blend of utility and recreation paints a more nuanced picture of Viking life than the stereotypical image of constant raiding and conquest. Ice skating embodies the creative and playful side of a culture known for its resilience and ingenuity. As we skate through this lighter facet of Viking ingenuity, we set the stage for yet another surprising revelation about how their legacy endures in language and culture to this day. Now turning to the enduring imprint of Vikings on language, their influence stretches far beyond their Scandinavian homelands. When Viking explorers, settlers, and raiders ventured into new territories, especially across the British Isles, they brought not only their ambitions and culture but also their language. The Old Norse tongue, spoken by the Vikings, intertwined with local languages, leaving a lasting mark that is still evident in modern English today. For example, everyday words like skull, derived from the Old Norse word skalle, and berserk, which originates from berserker, meaning a wild warrior, are clear instances of this linguistic legacy. Even the word fjord, reflecting the deep, narrow inlets characteristic of Scandinavia, has seamlessly entered the English vocabulary. But the influence goes beyond isolated words. Entire place names bear marks of Viking settlement, such as names ending in by like Derby or Whitby, which stem from the Old Norse term for a village or town. This linguistic blending not only enriched the English language, but also serves as a historical record of the interactions between Vikings and the people they encountered. It is a testament to how cultural exchange, whether peaceful or not, can shape societies in surprising ways. So the next time you hear or use one of these words, you are unknowingly keeping a fragment of Viking heritage alive, a subtle yet enduring reminder of their presence and influence. With the echoes of their language still resonating today, we now steer our story toward the remarkable marks the Vikings left on the very foundation of cities themselves. With the next phase of the journey in sight, let us explore how the Vikings not only left linguistic marks, but also laid the groundwork for some of today's thriving cities. One of the most notable examples is Dublin, the capital of Ireland, which was founded as a Viking settlement in the 9th century. Originally called Diflin, derived from the Old Norse Diflin, meaning black pool. It began as a strategic trading post along the river Liffey, where Viking merchants and settlers established a bustling hub for commerce and culture. Here they traded goods such as silver, textiles, and spices, while interacting with local Irish communities, ultimately shaping the city's early development. Another significant Viking-founded city is Reykjavik, the capital of Iceland. According to historical accounts, it was established by Norse settlers led by Ingolfur Arnarson, who arrived in the late 9th century. The name Reykjavik, meaning smoky bay in Old Norse, reflects the geothermal steam rising from the surrounding landscape, a unique characteristic that still defines the city today. These urban centers were not simply places of settlement. They became vibrant trade hubs where cultures converged, economies flourished, and knowledge was exchanged. The Vikings' knack for identifying strategic locations and building networks of trade and communication ensured the lasting prominence of these cities. Even centuries later, the remnants of Viking influence remain embedded in their infrastructure, place names, and local folklore. By founding and shaping these cities, the Vikings cemented their legacy not as mere raiders, but as architects of community and progress. As we unravel the intricate web of Viking achievements, let us now dive into the fierce and fascinating phenomenon of berserkers and their mystical fury. With the next phase of the journey in sight, let us now uncover the fierce and mysterious world of the Viking berserkers. These were no ordinary warriors. Berserkers were famed for their terrifying, trance-like rage in battle, an intensity that struck fear into the hearts of their enemies. The term berserker itself is thought to stem from Old Norse meaning bear shirt, possibly referring to the animal pelts they were believed to wear, symbolizing their connection to the ferocious strength of the bear. Historical accounts depict berserkers entering a frenzy so wild that they seemed immune to pain, fighting with an almost supernatural endurance and fury. But what fueled their extraordinary state? Some historians suggest that berserkers achieved their trance-like rage through intense rituals, channeling their connection to Norse gods like Odin, the god of war and wisdom. These rituals may have included rhythmic chanting, drumming, and even self-induced states of ecstasy to prepare their minds and bodies for combat. Others theorize that their frenzied state may have been influenced by the ingestion of hallucinogenic plants, such as the Amanita muscaria mushroom, known for its psychoactive properties. Such substances could have heightened their aggression and dulled their fear or pain, giving them a perceived edge on the battlefield. Alternatively, it has been proposed that berserkers may have used deep psychological conditioning, creating an altered state of mind that allowed them to suppress fear and embrace a single-minded focus on destruction. Regardless of the exact cause, the berserkers became legendary figures, immortalized in sagas and art as warriors who blurred the line between man and beast. Their mystique endures, capturing the imagination of historians and enthusiasts alike. As we continue to explore the vibrant tapestry of Viking life, let us now shift our focus to the environment that helped shape their existence, starting with how they adapted and thrived during the medieval warm period. As the next chapter of the Viking story unfolds, let us delve into how they adapted and thrived during the medieval warm period, a time when climate conditions were relatively mild. This period, which lasted from around the 9th to the 13th century, played a vital role in shaping Viking life and expansion. The warming trend brought longer growing seasons and more predictable harvests, allowing the Vikings to cultivate crops like barley, oats, and rye with greater success. This agricultural abundance not only sustained their communities but also supported their ambitions for exploration and settlement. Fertile lands in Scandinavia became the backbone of Viking society, enabling them to raise livestock such as cattle, sheep, and pigs, which further bolstered their food supply. Beyond their homeland, the favorable climate encouraged Vikings to push into new territories. regions like Greenland, which would later become inhospitable due to colder temperatures, were temporarily viable for farming during this warm phase. Archaeological evidence shows that Norse settlers in Greenland successfully grew crops and raised livestock, adapting to the unique challenges of the environment. Additionally, the milder conditions made seafaring less treacherous during parts of the year, facilitating their voyages across vast distances to raid, trade, and establish settlements. Whether forging paths to the British Isles, France, or even North America, the Vikings leveraged the opportunities provided by the medieval warm period to extend their reach and influence. However, thriving in this era was not merely a matter of good fortune. The Vikings demonstrated exceptional ingenuity in adapting their agricultural techniques to varying climates and landscapes. They practiced crop rotation to maintain soil fertility, constructed drainage systems to manage water supply effectively, and used preservation methods like smoking and salting to ensure food security during leaner times. This adaptability was a hallmark of their resilience, enabling them to prosper even in less forgiving environments. As the medieval warm period waned and harsher conditions eventually returned, the Vikings faced new challenges that tested their resourcefulness. But for this golden window of time, their thriving civilization left a lasting legacy that continues to fascinate us today. Now, as we navigate further into the depths of Viking ingenuity, let us examine their artistic achievements and uncover the intricate designs that reveal so much about their culture and beliefs. Now turning to the remarkable artistic achievements of the Vikings, we uncover a world of intricate craftsmanship that reveals their deep cultural beliefs and aesthetics. Viking art was not just decorative but served as a profound expression of their identity, mythology, and values. Their jewelry, weapons, and carvings were adorned with elaborate designs that held symbolic meaning, often reflecting their connection to nature, their gods, and the stories that shaped their worldview. One of the most iconic features of Viking art is the intricate knotwork, often referred to as interlace patterns. These endless, weaving lines symbolized eternity and interconnectedness, mirroring their belief in the cyclical nature of life and destiny. Animal motifs were another hallmark of their art, with depictions of wolves, ravens, serpents, and dragons appearing frequently. For instance, the raven, closely associated with the god Odin, represented wisdom and foresight, while the serpent often symbolized power and protection. This symbolism was not limited to personal adornment. Viking ships, runestones, and tools were also embellished with these designs, turning everyday objects into works of art. Their weapons, including swords and axes, were meticulously engraved, blending functionality with artistry. These decorations were not just for display, but also served a spiritual purpose, believed to imbue the objects with strength and protection in battle. Jewelry like brooches, arm rings, and necklaces, often made from gold, silver, or bronze, showcased both the Vikings' advanced metalworking skills and their eye for detail. These pieces were not merely ornamental but also signified status, wealth, and allegiance to specific clans or beliefs. Carvings on wood and stone further demonstrated their artistic prowess, with examples like the Oseberg ship burial offering stunning insights into their mastery of both design and storytelling. This ship features intricate carvings of animals and mythical creatures, illustrating the seamless blend of function and beauty characteristic of Viking art. Their creative legacy continues to influence modern design and inspire admiration for their ingenuity. As we admire these artistic marvels, we are reminded that the Vikings were not solely warriors or explorers, but also creators with a deep appreciation for the beauty and symbolism woven into every aspect of their lives. And as we move from their artistic achievements to another fascinating chapter, let us explore the gradual conversion of the Viking world to Christianity and how it transformed their culture and society in profound ways. With the next phase of the journey in sight, we delve into the profound transformation brought about by the Christian conversion of the Vikings. This was not an overnight change, but rather a gradual process that unfolded over centuries, reshaping the spiritual and cultural fabric of the Viking world. Initially, Christianity entered Viking society through interactions with Christian Europeans during raids, trade, and settlements. Missionaries from regions like England and the Frankish Empire sought to spread their faith, often with limited success at first. The Vikings, deeply rooted in their Norse pagan beliefs, were resistant to abandoning their gods and rituals. For them, their deities like Odin, Thor, and Freyja were not only spiritual figures but also integral to their identity, guiding their actions in war, exploration, and daily life. However, as Vikings began to establish settlements in Christian lands, particularly in places like England, Normandy, and Ireland, they were increasingly exposed to Christian customs and values. Over time, pragmatic reasons also played a role in the conversion. Embracing Christianity often facilitated alliances with powerful Christian rulers and opened the door to trade opportunities that were restricted to those sharing the faith. For Viking leaders, converting to Christianity was as much a political strategy as a personal decision. A notable example is King Harald Bluetooth of Denmark, who is credited with Christianizing Denmark and Norway in the 10th century. His conversion solidified his power and allowed him to present himself as a ruler aligned with the broader Christian Europe, strengthening his position both domestically and internationally. Despite these gradual changes, there was significant resistance within Viking society. Many clung to their ancestral beliefs, fearing that abandoning their gods would bring misfortune. This tension is evidenced in sagas and legends, which often recount the struggles between pagan traditions and Christian ideals. Even after formal conversions, traces of Norse beliefs persisted, blending with Christian practices to create a unique cultural synthesis. For instance, some Viking festivals and rituals were adapted rather than abolished, with pagan symbols subtly incorporated into Christian celebrations. This shift to Christianity not only influenced spiritual practices but also transformed Viking art, laws, and societal structures. Churches replaced pagan temples, and Christian symbols began appearing alongside traditional Norse motifs in art and artifacts. The adoption of Christian burial practices, such as inhumation and the use of crosses, replaced the older traditions of ship burials and cremations, marking a visible change in how the Vikings honored their dead. Over time, the integration of Christianity helped to stabilize Viking societies, reducing internal conflicts and fostering more cohesive communities within the emerging medieval kingdoms. Yet the transition was far from uniform. Some regions clung to paganism for much longer, creating a patchwork of beliefs across the Viking world. This duality of old and new is a testament to the resilience of Viking culture and its ability to adapt while retaining its essence. The Christian conversion of the Vikings marked the end of an era, signaling the transition from the Viking Age to a new chapter in European history. And now, as we step away from this transformative period, let us engage with the misconceptions surrounding Vikings in modern pop culture and how they shape our understanding of these extraordinary people. Now turning to the myths and misconceptions perpetuated by modern pop culture, it is impossible to ignore how TV shows, movies, and even video games have shaped public perception of the Vikings. These portrayals have often leaned heavily on dramatic imagery, emphasizing a narrative of relentless raiders clad in horned helmets, driven solely by an insatiable thirst for conquest. While such depictions are undeniably entertaining, they are far removed from historical reality. Take, for instance, the iconic horned helmet, a powerful symbol of Viking lore. As we debunked earlier, this idea stems not from historical evidence but from 19th century operatic costume designs. Archaeological findings confirm that Viking helmets were simple, practical, and horn-free, designed for protection in battle rather than theatrical effect. Popular culture also tends to focus almost exclusively on the Vikings' reputation as fierce warriors. While their raiding activities were a defining feature, this portrayal ignores a broader and more nuanced picture of who they were. The Vikings were also skilled traders, farmers, explorers, and artisans, contributing significantly to the cultural and economic exchanges of their time. Modern media rarely highlights their innovative seafaring technology or their vast trade networks that extended as far as the Middle East, Asia, and North America. Similarly, the emphasis on berserkers, the legendary violent warriors allegedly fueled by intense rage or substances, overshadows the fact that most Viking communities thrived through cooperation, governance, and trade, not endless warfare. Even their physical appearance has been exaggerated. The image of towering, grim-faced men with unkempt beards and dirt-covered faces belies historical records that reveal the Vikings placed considerable importance on hygiene and grooming. Combs, razors, and other grooming tools are commonly found at Viking archaeological sites, and contemporary accounts often describe them as notably clean for their time. Furthermore, shows and movies often omit the pivotal roles of women in Viking society, reducing them to background characters. As we've already explored, Viking women held significant societal positions, participating as warriors, landowners, and leaders with rights that were virtually unheard of in other cultures during the same era. The influence of these misconceptions extends beyond mere entertainment. They shape how we understand history, sometimes reinforcing stereotypes while overshadowing the complexity of Viking culture. By overemphasizing their violent exploits, pop culture diminishes their achievements in lore, art, and exploration. These dramatized depictions, while captivating, make it all the more important to distinguish fact from fiction when studying the Viking Age. And so, as we continue to uncover the truths hidden behind these sensational portrayals, let us now shift our focus to the multifaceted roles of Viking women beyond their contributions as warriors. Now turning to the multifaceted roles of Viking women, it becomes evident that their contributions to society went far beyond the battlefield. While the image of the Shield Maiden, a fearless female warrior, is undeniably compelling, it represents only a fraction of what Viking women accomplished within their communities. These women played pivotal roles as landowners, traders, farmers, and even diplomats, leveraging their rights and responsibilities to shape the fabric of Viking society. In an era where the status of women in many parts of the world was severely restricted, Viking women enjoyed freedoms that were surprisingly progressive for their time. They had the right to inherit property, manage estates, and initiate divorce, which gave them a level of agency and autonomy that was uncommon in most other medieval cultures. As landowners, Viking women not only oversaw the management of households, but also held significant sway in the economic affairs of their communities. Many estates were large and required meticulous oversight, from agriculture and animal husbandry to the distribution of resources. These women were more than just caretakers, they were effective managers and decision-makers, ensuring the survival and prosperity of their families. Their influence extended to trade as well. Women engaged in buying, selling, and bartering goods, often traveling to markets or overseeing the production of textiles and other valuable commodities. These activities were not confined to local communities. Some women participated in Viking trade networks that spanned vast regions, contributing to the economic power of their society. Farming was another cornerstone of Viking life, and women played an essential role in it. They planted crops, tended livestock, and preserved food for long winters. Their knowledge of the land and their ability to sustain families through harsh Scandinavian climates were vital to the survival of Viking settlements. Beyond these economic and domestic responsibilities, Viking women also wielded social and political influence. They hosted gatherings, mediated disputes, and sometimes acted as legal representatives in community assemblies known as things. In these roles, they were not passive bystanders but active participants who helped shape the laws and customs of their time. The importance of women in Viking myths and sagas further underscores their value in society. Tales often highlight women as wise counselors, cunning strategists, and crucial supporters of heroes. These stories, while steeped in mythology, reflect the high regard in which women were held within Viking culture. By examining this broader spectrum of their contributions, we gain a deeper appreciation of the strength and resilience of Viking women. Their roles were as diverse as they were indispensable, and they helped forge a society that thrived on cooperation, resourcefulness, and adaptability. With a clearer understanding of their significant impact, we shift our gaze to the end of the Viking Age itself, exploring the turning points that marked the decline of this remarkable era. With the next phase of the journey in sight, we arrive at the twilight of the Viking Age, a period marked by profound change and eventual decline. The end of this remarkable era did not come abruptly, but was instead the result of several interwoven factors that gradually reshaped the Viking world. One significant reason was the rise of centralized kingdoms across Europe. As monarchies strengthened their control over territories, their ability to defend against Viking raids grew more effective. Fortified towns, organized armies, and strategic alliances made it increasingly difficult for Vikings to carry out the surprise attacks that had once been their hallmark. Over time, these efforts by European rulers curbed the Vikings' influence, forcing them to adapt or retreat. Another turning point was the spread of Christianity throughout Scandinavia. Initially brought to Viking lands by missionaries and later by political rulers seeking alignment with Christian Europe, the new religion gradually replaced the traditional Norse beliefs that had been central to Viking identity. As Christianity took root, it altered many aspects of Viking culture, including their warrior ethos and raiding practices. The conversion to Christianity also brought cultural integration with European societies, reducing the fierce independence that had once defined Viking communities. Economic factors also played a crucial role in the decline of the Viking Age. By the end of the era, the lucrative trade networks that had once fueled Viking prosperity began to shift. New trade routes emerged, bypassing many of the traditional Viking hubs. Additionally, the depletion of resources in some regions and changes in global trade reduced the economic incentives for Viking expansion. As opportunities for wealth and power dwindled, so too did the motivation to undertake the daring voyages and conquests that had defined the Viking spirit. The decline of the Viking Age was not just a loss but a transformation. Many Vikings assimilated into the cultures they had once raided, contributing their skills to the societies they joined. Others remained in Scandinavia, adapting to a new way of life in a world that had grown vastly different from the one their ancestors had known. The legacy of the Viking Age, however, endures. Their innovations in seafaring, exploration, and storytelling continue to shape our understanding of the medieval world. With the Viking Age behind us, we now turn to explore its mysterious secrets that keep historians and enthusiasts captivated even today. Now turning to the most puzzling secrets of the Viking Age, we uncover mysteries that continue to spark endless debate among historians and enthusiasts alike. Take, for instance, the true meaning of Viking runes. Were they merely a writing system, or did they carry deeper, mystical significance? Some scholars argue that runes were used not just for communication but as tools of magic and divination, with symbols imbued with sacred power to influence the world around them. The enigmatic inscriptions on runestones leave us questioning their intent. Were they commemorations of the dead, declarations of power, or perhaps even messages meant to bridge the mortal and divine? These unanswered questions keep the allure of Viking runes alive, inviting us to wonder about the secrets they may still hold. And then there is the figure of Ragnar Lothbrok. Was he a real person, a blend of historical leaders, or purely a fictional hero born of Viking sagas? Stories of Ragnar describe him as a fearless warrior, a cunning strategist, and a legendary king. Yet, when examining the historical evidence, the lines blur. No definitive proof of his existence has been found, yet his name echoes through the ages as a symbol of Viking resilience and ambition. Could Ragnar be an amalgamation of various Viking leaders, or does his legend reveal a collective ideal that Vikings aspired to? The ongoing exploration of his identity adds to the mystique of the Viking Age, leaving us to ponder whether some questions are destined to remain unanswered. These riddles of the Viking past draw us closer to the lived experiences of this extraordinary culture. Runestones and sagas are not just relics, they are windows into a world defined by both pragmatism and wonder, a world that balanced the harsh realities of survival with a boundless imagination. As we piece together fragments of their history, we are reminded that some mysteries are not meant to be fully solved, but rather to inspire curiosity and thought. Could it be that the Vikings themselves intended their legacy to be shrouded in an air of mystery, challenging future generations to seek the truth? Moving forward, we explore how these enigmatic seafarers continue to influence the modern world in ways both unexpected and profound. Moving forward, let us explore the unexpected ways Viking innovations and culture continue to shape our modern world. Take their revolutionary seafaring technology, for instance. Viking longboats, with their shallow drafts and symmetrical designs, were unparalleled in their time, allowing for swift navigation across oceans and quick access to inland waterways. This ingenuity laid the groundwork for naval engineering techniques that influence shipbuilding even today. And it is not just their ships. Viking governance has left its mark as well. Their democratic assemblies, known as the Thing, served as platforms where disputes were resolved and communal decisions were made. This concept of participatory governance has parallels in many of today's legal systems, demonstrating how Viking ideas helped sow the seeds of modern democracy. Additionally, their robust trade networks, which connected Scandinavia to regions as far as the Middle East and Asia, mirror the globalized trade systems we rely on today. The Vikings were masters of adapting to their environment, and their legacy of innovation, exploration, and governance continues to influence the way we navigate and organize our world. As we uncover these connections, it becomes clear that the Viking spirit of resilience and ingenuity is far from a relic of the past. It is a living thread woven into the fabric of our present. With this in mind, let us now take a closer look at the archaeological discoveries that deepen our understanding of Viking life and legacy. Now turning to the fascinating world of Viking archaeology, it is through these discoveries that we piece together the intricate tapestry of their lives and culture. Consider the Gokstad ship, unearthed in Norway, a stunning example of Viking craftsmanship and their mastery of seafaring. This 9th-century burial ship, over 76 feet long, was built not only for practicality but also for resilience, showcasing the Vikings' unparalleled understanding of both engineering and design. Similarly, the Oseberg ship, another monumental find, offers a glimpse into the opulence of Viking society. Discovered in a burial mound in Norway, it is adorned with intricate carvings that speak to the artistic and spiritual depth of the Viking people. These ships were not merely vessels for travel or warfare. They were symbols of status and conduits of culture, reflecting a society that valued innovation, power, and connection. Beyond ships, countless artifacts like tools, jewelry, and even board games reveal the everyday lives of the Vikings, painting a picture of a civilization that was as complex as it was pioneering. Each archaeological find serves as a bridge to the past, allowing us to explore the layers of Viking identity, from their engineering prowess to their rich artistic traditions. As these discoveries continue to be made, they reshape our perspective, dispelling myths and deepening our appreciation for the Vikings' profound legacy. With this newfound understanding in mind, let us delve into why the Viking Age still captivates us in the modern era. As the sun rises on the next chapter, the enduring allure of the Viking Age becomes undeniably clear. Their culture and mythology continue to captivate us, weaving their way into art, literature, and media in ways that feel both timeless and fresh. The Viking sagas, with their tales of brave warriors, divine interventions, and epic journeys, strike a universal chord, offering stories of adventure and resilience that resonate across generations. Modern literature draws heavily from these narratives, giving life to new interpretations while preserving the essence of Viking storytelling. From best-selling novels to blockbuster films and television series, Viking legends provide a rich tapestry for creators to explore themes of courage, loyalty, and the eternal struggle between order and chaos. Norse mythology, too, holds a special place in global culture, with gods like Odin, Thor, and Loki inspiring countless adaptations. Their complex personas and mythical exploits provide fertile ground for exploring human nature and the mysteries of existence. Beyond entertainment, Viking aesthetics influence fashion, architecture, and even tattoo art, reflecting a fascination with their unique blend of ruggedness and sophistication. The Vikings' legacy also sparks curiosity about exploration and innovation, reminding us of a time when the world felt vast and full of possibility. Perhaps what fascinates us most is the duality of the Vikings, their reputation as fierce raiders contrasted with their sophisticated culture and deep connections to art, law, and society. This complexity keeps us intrigued, inviting us to uncover new layers of their identity and to reflect on how their stories echo in our own lives. With such a lasting impact, it is no wonder that the Viking Age continues to inspire our imagination and curiosity. With a journey through the Viking Age now complete, we find ourselves in awe of a civilization far more complex and captivating than the stereotypes suggest. From their advanced engineering and exploration to their rich storytelling traditions and societal structures, the Vikings have left us with a legacy that continues to intrigue and inspire. Their tales of fearless warriors, mystical rituals, and groundbreaking innovations remind us that history is often more intricate and surprising than it first appears. So, which Viking secret surprised you the most? Was it their pioneering spirit, their refined sense of art and culture, or perhaps their unexpected roles in shaping the modern world? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed uncovering these mysteries with us, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a chance to explore history's hidden stories. There is always more to uncover, and we cannot wait to share the next chapter with you.